Okay, so tell us your name and who you are for the family.
My name, my name is David Williams. I want the last name too. Anyway, and I'm the father, grandfather, great grandfather of this crowd.
Okay, the first question we have is we want to hear your testimony.
Well, my my dad is a preacher, or was a preacher, and so I was always raised in a church, in a home, and my mother was very insistent that we knew that salvation was through Christ and all. But anyway, she had talked to me much, and then we had a old big Philco radio, and Moody Radio at the time had a program on there of stories for children. Where there was a lady called Ann Teresa Warman, and she would read these stories, and I can remember she explained to me what my parents had told me before about God so loved the world that he gave his only begotten son, that whosoever believeth him should not perish. And at the time, I was 5 years old. And I remember knowing that that was the same message that my parents had been telling me about. And it was right then that I was very convicted and knew that, I needed, like the verse had said, to believe on Jesus Christ. And it was at that point, when I was such a young child, that I believed that he was a Savior, and that I would have eternal life by believing on his name. And so that is where I started. And we lived, in parsonages, from 2 or 3 different parsonages. And then I went to, my parents moved to a camp in Illinois. And that's where I went to grade school, and then up through high school there. And then a lady provided my folks with the money after high school, which it was in St. Anne, but anyway, after high school to go to Wheaton College. And so this friend of my parents actually paid the tuition for me to attend Wheaton College. So then it was at Wheaton College where I met Sharon, and she was only there for 1 year, and then her parents couldn't afford it anymore, and so she went back to Michigan and graduated from Oakland University in Michigan. But anyway, and then right after that, on Christmas, or right around Christmas, we were married, and that began the long journey, and just we turned our whole lives over to the Lord as far as a family was concerned, and anything that God would allow to come into our lives, and never knowing or thinking of that there would be children. And yet, but we rolled it into the Lord's hand and said that we'll put it in your hands. And he did provide quite abundantly in that area. And we went for right there at the beginning. I got a job at my old high school and lived in a farmhouse close to my folks and to the camp. And that's where Troy was born, and then Sharon was born there, and Tully was born there, and Tonya was born there. Not Tonya, I don't think. Anyway, Trudy was born there. And that's where I actually served there. Well, I taught high school for 1 year. I taught English in the high school, and then went full-time with my dad at the camp. And then for 7 years, was a youth pastor over there and maintenance man at the camp, but anyway. And then I'd ask there's a lot of maintenance and work that needed to be done, and I'd been interested in it because people would come to camp and do repairs and build projects and construction things, but I really had no experience of any of that, didn't know any of the trades or any of that, and there was a real need there for the work to be done. And so I really prayed and asked the Lord that He would teach me to know the skills and learn the trades. And so I would go around to job sites and watch these contractors work, and carpenters were very fascinating to me and all of that. So, but he graciously taught me all of these skills, so that by the time a couple years later, probably 5 or 6 years later, I was able to manually do all the trades, and I understood them: electrician, plumbing, carpentry, concrete, and all those kind of things. And it was just a real answer to prayer that if any of you ask wisdom, let him ask of God, and He will give to him abundantly. And in those areas, He actually did. And He, was also very a wonderful teacher in the fact that the things of marriage and the things of life and all of these things were also made clear to me through His Word as I would study His Word and all these things. And He gave me wisdom beyond anything I could have ever comprehended or expected. And then all of the blessings that came with each child that was born, and the problems or the experiences with them, they were just wonderful. So then we went from there. After being full-time at camp, then we went to moved up to Wheaton, actually into Lombard, and then it was there that more children family was added to it, and I went to work for a contractor that was up there, and then that's where the life went from then on. But I've always known very positively that the Lord's hand was in my life, because you just had experience after experience. I was 3 years old. I caught laryngitis. And this is a story that I was told. I don't remember any of this. But it became acute laryngitis. And it closed the throat, actually. And we were living at the time about 40 miles away from a hospital. And so I started to choke. You couldn't breathe anymore. Couldn't get their breath at all. And then, so the parents took off to the hospital. And I was told I became blue, very blue, from lack of oxygen. I was coughing or choking, all of that. And then we came to the door of the hospital, and a nurse saw us in the gurney, or the cart, whatever it was, and she had a scalpel, I think, in her pocket, in a sanitary bag or something, and she split my throat, cut the larynx, and right away I apparently gasped and got oxygen again. And it was within minutes that, another 5 minutes I would have died on her lap in the car. And that's how serious it was, but I have no Adam's apple as a result of that. But anyway, that's a first miracle that God actually brought in my life, unbeknown to me, but because of the prayers of my folks, he delivered me in that situation as well. So, but I'm a regular robber to my parents' billfold with all these medical experience that I had gone through. But it was just something that, at the time, my mother, was very emphatic. I didn't know it, and she didn't really say it to me in a way that I would understand at that time, but she would always say, God is not finished with you yet, David. So it was that kind of experience. And then we moved from there to another church in Michigan. In that church, my dad and mom were there for 4 years, and then from there we went to the camp down in Illinois. But the testimony is that in all of these things, God led and protected and all of that. And then when I was in college, it was, way beyond me, the education thing, but I prayed and asked the Lord to help me to learn and all of that, and I truly did. But it was there that there was a polyp that grew in my stomach, and it had an ulcer on the top of the polyp, and they were able to find it. And then between my sophomore and junior year, sophomore and junior year, I went into surgery as soon as school was out, and they did an open surgery on the stomach and removed the polyp, and it was non-cancerous. They sewed it back up, but then over the next year, with the pressure of the studies and all, it ulcered, the lower part of the stomach fully ulcered, and to the point that it became necessary in the next spring after school was out that they had to do they called it resection of the stomach. So it became a subtotal gastrectomy where they took out almost 2/3 of the stomach. It was ulcered, and they resectioned it back into the intestine. And then, just sewed them back together, and I didn't really have any nutritional doctors or anything at that point. And the Lord, at those occasions, Mother would always say, God is not done with you yet, David. And true enough. And so that was 60 some years ago. And then we were able to see the children trust in the Lord and grow in wisdom and in knowledge. And then it came to this point in life, and after being in construction for several years in Wheaton area, then Grandma, Sharon's mom, her father had died, and her mother was wanting to live at home. And so then at that point, then we moved up to Michigan just to take care of Grandma. And that's where we've been for the last 16 years or so. Lived in this house and Grandma's house longer than in any other place we'd lived in all their lives. So.
Great answer. Can you go tell him to stop playing piano? Yeah. Okay, what was the first moment you saw Grandma?
From college, they took different churches would bring up cars at the dining hall on Sunday mornings. and kids that then need to have a little sign indicating their particular church. And and then you climb in these cars and you ride to the church, for service. And she was in the car once at that point. And that was the first time I saw her. Although she had been on campus, I guess it wasn't the first time I saw her. She'd been on campus, and she had I knew who she was and that, but first time that I got a serious look about it. Anyway.
Was it love at first sight?
No. We got to know her, and we continued to go to the church, but it was, over the same months, though, because she had to leave campus after, the end of the semester. So, but then it became a letter writing relationship for the next 3 years.
What?
Yeah. Look forward to that every 2 days. The mail would arrive, and we had a letter from her, and she'd get a letter from me. So.
Wow. Do you have all of them still?
No.
What?
No.
You got rid of them?
Somehow they got lost and moved somewhere.
And that was for how long?
3 years.
Did you go 3 years without seeing her at all?
No, I would see her summers, and it wasn't, in the first year, it wasn't very frequent, but then it became more frequent. And at one point, and I, proposed, and then we decided that she would need to be finished with school before we could do anything. And so she graduated in December from Oakland University in Michigan. And then we were married on the 27th of December. Yeah.
When did you know you wanted to propose to her?
Oh, 2 years in it, or I think it was. So. It was an interesting thing because her parents, although they'd met me a few times, were very reluctant to let go of their daughter. It wasn't that I was so rejected, it was that they didn't want to let their daughter go. And so we actually, at one point, wanted to be married in the summer before, and then they said no. And so then we determined that we would honor their requests and postpone it until she was finished with school. So, because she was living at home while she was at Oakland University, driving to school anyway. So.
Did you ever think you would have 11 kids?
Never. I didn't even think that there would be any children, although we did, when I proposed, we wrote our own vows at the wedding, and in my vows, I had said that we will, if God does miracles in our lives, they will bring honor to the Lord, and for His purposes, the children would come, if they would come. We didn't know, but anyway. And so we'd committed that whole aspect of our lives to the Lord, that if He wanted children, He wouldn't provide them, And of course then, by putting it in His hands, all our friends were in this great planning stages. They wouldn't have children now, and then they wanted to get their careers going and all of that. And they could just, the Lord would provide them. And they would get all this ridicule from friends and all of it. You know, my sister would call me, or call Sharon a rabbit, because they had so many babies and so fast, and I called her a rabbit, and because she was having 4 children right away too. Anyway, so that's, didn't think there'd be any children. And certainly then beyond that, I determined that I wanted to give the children a motivational name, you know, that would be a motivation for them for their spiritual life as they grow older. And we had this monogrammed shirt after Troy was born, named him Troy David. And then he only was able to wear the sweatshirt for about 2 weeks before he outgrew it. And so we still had it when Taryn came along, and so we decided, well, we'll find a name for her, a motivational name for her that is TD, and then it just, everyone after that had to be a TD. Just over a sweatshirt thing.
Gotta keep the hand-me-downs.
Yeah. Because it never got worn more than a couple weeks. Then they outgrew it. But had to put it in the stretcher when Trudy was born. She was 10 pounds. So, but anyway. All of them are big and all of them are healthy. But nothing like her record.
I was 9 pounds.
Yeah.
Healthy baby.
Can't say that much for Megan, though.
How does it make you feel to see how big the family's gotten?
Pardon?
How does it make you feel to see how big the family's gotten?
I don't know. It always made me feel, kind of wonderful when the babies were born. And I just, then all of a sudden she'd say, well, she's pregnant again or whatever. But it was just the most exciting thing for me. I mean, I didn't have to bear them and I didn't have to carry them, but it could have gone on for a long time as far as I was concerned, because they were all a joy. So, it wasn't that we were, that it was an expense or anything like that. They were, but that was never the concern. We actually, my folks actually were in a mission that they were there by faith, and there was no salary. They didn't get any guarantee. There was no contract, and they had determined to, wait on the Lord for the money that had come in. And so when we became part of the camp, that became our philosophy as well, and all the provision that God paid for them. They had no medical insurance for any of this, and yet the Lord provided for all of that. So it was difficult times, but and the children had to live with the fact that their mother would dress them for a couple trips up to Grandma's house, dress them in look-alike shirts. So we were like a troop. But anyway.
What's going on in your life right now?
Well, we're going through this blessed, in many ways, experience of pancreatic cancer. And we're in the chemo treatment stages, right now. On this wonderful weekend, we were able to come down off of a treatment and expand the gap between the treatments so that I could regain some strength and the blood could rebuild to more normal levels after the pancreatic chemo treatment had destroyed so much of the rapidly dividing tissues. But cancer is apparently staying the same size and not metastasized to any other organs. And we're just waiting on the Lord as He provides either the health for it or the pleasure of going to see Him. And then I have this wonderful crew that put together this particular weekend reunion to see all that God has wrought, done in their lives, as well as how they have been so supportive and wonderful, and as far as I'm concerned, in this whole experience. So something you never anticipate, just like you never anticipate. You think about it, and it's someday you will die, and you believe that He has provided everlasting life, and that but it would be more typical, is more or less what you would think, and yet this is introduced, and as it was. I mean, all my life, since those surgeries way back, and I've told you, Marcia, that I've operated on they call it a rudiment stomach. And so I've always known that He has provided the health and the strength for it, but anyway, then this comes along, and I'm not exact, you never, you know that it is allowed in your life for His purposes and His glory. And that's been just a wonderful experience to see it work out, even though it's kind of caused you to lose all of your control of your life. But but yet His comfort and strength has just been overwhelming. This is the verse that says, this also comes forth from the Lord of hosts, who is wonderful in counsel and excellent in working. And it's just been a wonderful experience as far as that goes. Good for me that I have been afflicted, that I might learn your statutes. So. Well, what am I learning about God now? The understanding of prayer has really been something that I've learned, like just the miracle of seeing God answer prayers, as far as like even you kids, and seeing how God works without, I don't have to any intervention, but yet He directs in the same pattern of His ways and His word in your life. And just to see that happen is just, that is just wonderful. But it's something that over the years, that's what, I've learned, that when we pray to Him and trust Him, that He works in ways that we are not necessarily required to have been the teacher on. His word and His Spirit is working in your lives, and it just to see that, sort of like being reproduced, that is just astounding to understand the power of God and the Holy Spirit. Just and like your kids going off on these mission trips or traveling these places, and my perspective has also just changed as to my awareness of how big the world is and different races and all of those things. And yet when the Spirit moves and people believe in the Lord, and just to see that it doesn't matter. I mean, my faith is not American. You know, my faith is not Michigan or Illinois or my world. I mean, I'm part of that, of His whole purpose, you know, and of His whole plan, and just to see the work that He's doing in your individual lives and the changes. You know, we get a videotape of kids being baptized, and you know, of our family, and then also of friends, and you reports back from your mission experiences, and that, oh man, you know, talk about the kingdom of God. It's huge. No. Just in the last couple weeks, I've been doing a study of waiting on God and the verses that talk about the patience that's needed and the spirit development in your life that gives you the peace to wait and to know that He is going to answer that and going to work it out in such a way that it brings glory to Him, but also, you know, fulfills the walk of the Christian in this life. So, really wonderful. Just the other day, it was so incredible. I was working on something at home, and we get this call from Tonya that I just turned around and said, "What? This early? The baby came?" You know, just, oh wow! So it's quite exciting to get that news and see that how God is working in Kyle's life as well.
How do you feel about heaven?
Well, I don't know, it's just wonderful to look forward to. Just learning, realizing there'd be so much that is way beyond familiar to us, to me. You know, that like the promise that He will wipe away all tears, and just you know, you see a heartbreak in the kids you love and your family members, and that realize that, you know, that there is none of that anymore, that there's no giving or taking in marriage, and none of that is all new, you know, all new way of life and living with Him in view. Just the whole thing that He which hath begun a good work in you will perform it until the day of Jesus Christ. A lot of favorite memories of Grandma, but just, I don't know, it was a favorite one. One of the favorite ones was her response when she actually had a tubular pregnancy. And her reaction to it was just not to just almost rejoice in knowing that God had brought this in her life as well for a real purpose. Although it's a great sorrow. And tubular pregnancy means that it was born in planted in the fallopian tubes without ever reaching the womb, and it rips her open, and she was bleeding to death, and yet her response was still joy, just wonderful. And they were able to stop it, and so she's, I guess in a technical sense, she's had more than 11 babies.
God bless her.
Yeah.
If you had to write a letter to her right now, what would you write in
I don't know, it'd probably have to be big letters, so it wouldn't be very long. No, I don't know. I wouldn't know where to start. Because this thing, well, I'd have to recount for this weekend and these days, because this has really been a wonderful thing for her. The joy, it had been just, in the last 18 months, she's kind of been cooped up with me because we've had to live in a sort of a isolation chamber because of the possibility of infection because of the blood count being down so low and all that. But yeah, they called her and invited her up for the shower. Who was it this time? Yeah, and Maggie. And then she was just almost like a new kid. But anyway, that's what I would write her about. Tell her the joy of traveling again and seeing the kids. Because the doctor had said that best not to have grandchildren over in the house for long periods of time because of the possibility of infection greater in me than now ever typical. So, but that's all right, to tell her about. But she got to experience it, so. Yeah, that's right. That's why it was so stunning. It was Maggie, and then all of a sudden we get the phone call, and oh, the baby's here now? She was sitting in a chair there, and wait, I had a bottle of water, plastic bottle, gallon jug of water, and I picked it up and took it over and laid it in her lap, and I said, "This is 8 pounds." And the baby was 5'3" or whatever. This helps us both understand how small this baby was, because that wasn't her problem. None of the babies were small.
me interrupt or something?
Is this still filming?
Yeah.
Sorry. Sorry.
No, that was amazing. It came out of a bookcase. I love this guy. So funny. And it's fully in the frame. Wow.
They literally had a hole on the roof.
Well, that's why they chose the castle for him. All that adventure, it's amazing.
What's one thing you want to say to the whole family that you want all of us to know?
I'll tell you at supper.
Who's your favorite kid?
Favorite what?
Who's your favorite kid? Don't answer.
There is no such thing.
Who's your favorite grandkid?
Us.
What are we offered in exchange for that opinion?
In an interview.
It's hard to have a favorite when you can't be near them all. You know, and you see some frequently, some live next door, some live 12 miles away, some live here. And then it's so just amazing. Then you see them and they've changed, and you know. Try not to have favorites because I don't really know how to make a coat of many colors.
That was good. Wow.
Do you have a favorite dad memory?
Favorite dad memory?
Yeah.
My memory, you mean?
No, like a memory like with your kids. Like something
Oh.
that really
Oh.
sticks out to you as being a dad. Like
Yeah, the fellows in Wheaton gave us the use of their cabin up on Torch Lake in the summer, and that we all get together there. Those are the favorite memories, you know, because no work pressure, none of that, and we weren't paying for the cottage even, you know. They're letting us use it rent-free, and it just that's the favorite memories, yeah. And even like these memories, you know, these reunions and the Christmases we would get together and that kind of thing. They're all favorite.
Love you.
Yeah, thank you. Love you too.
Anything else you want to share?
Yeah.
This is your moment.
Go ahead. Come again tonight, I think.
Yeah.
Will you roll film tonight? Oh, okay.
I can mic you up
Now?
for dinner.
I thought I would have to use that one up on the shelf.
Oh, I can connect the mic to that.
Okay. I mean, so I have to hold it.
What?
So I don't have to hold it, you mean?
No, you would hold it, but I would record from the machine.
Oh,
We'll figure it out. Tyler will.
Okay.
Well, thank you.
You're welcome.